Welcome back to the QT9 QCast. I'm Christian Reyes, and today's episode is a little bit different. Here's something nobody tells you when you're buying quality software. Choosing a QMS isn't really choosing software or just choosing software. It's choosing a team. It's choosing the people who help you take everything that you've got, your documents, your training records, your corrective actions, your audits, all the moving pieces of your quality system, and turning it into something structured, usable, and built to last. So today we're pulling back the curtain on some of the people behind that experience, the QT9 QMS Implementation Team. I'm sitting down with Kamikia, Ricky, Phil, and James, and we're going to talk about what implementation really means, what happens right after you sign on with QT9, what the most successful customers do well, and how this team guides you from kickoff all the way through to go live. So whether you're a QT9 customer, you're getting ready for implementation, or just trying to picture what that looks like after purchase, this one's for you. Let's meet the team. Kind of start with some background. What did you do before QT9? How long have you been here? And what is your favorite part of helping our customers implement?
So I've been here a little over a year now. And prior to this role, there was a common denominator in the roles that I had. And it was like project management, systems training, as well as systems implementation.
Okay.
And so this role allows all of those skill sets to come together. And it was just a very natural flow getting into this role.
Yeah, so I've been here for just about 4 years now with the company. Before, believe it or not, I used to work at Best Buy retail. So that was my skill set. So I remember when one of my first interviews here, when I first started, I was always nervous saying I don't know the software. But when I walked into that interview, I did tell the person that was interviewing me saying, hey, I know people and I know how to create those relationships. And sometimes you just need that normal guy behind camera to really help out that person. And that's why I feel like I've been really successful. And that's part of one of my favorite parts about working here is normalizing it. QT9 QMS, it is a really easy software, but at the same time, it could be really difficult to someone new. I'm the guy to make that easy. So that's why I found a lot of success with my implementations on here. I'm just an average Joe trying to help you out and then just learn the software and be successful with it.
So I've been with QT9 for about a year and a half. And prior to coming here, I've spent nearly 20 years or so in implementation and training, having different roles like director of implementation in other organizations. So a wide skill set. And like Ricky, dealing with customers and helping them implement software solutions, something I really enjoy.
I've been here about 6 years. It'll be 6 years in August, which is crazy because time goes quick here. But yeah, prior to here, I was a trainer at another enterprise software, and I started kind of like cut my teeth in SaaS there. It was kind of training implementation, and then transitioned over here. I've been in implementation here ever since. I think for me, one of the key things, or one of the things like I've enjoyed the most, I would say, looking at the different industries that we work with, working with people, in med device, working with people in pharma, people that, that are in, steel fabrication, stuff like that. You get such a broad slice of the industry, and you get such a broad slice of process, the way people do things like that. So I think the thing I've always loved and things I've always brought to implementation is taking a really broad-based approach with everybody and trying to get people to understand that the standard it's not necessarily chapter, verse, letter. It's more so understanding the intention behind it. And for me, as an implementer, that's always been something I've tried to bring to the table from the get-go.
And I'm sure you see that with everyone that you speak to, because you're with them for a pretty good amount of time. Let's say you're at a backyard barbecue and someone asks you what implementation means. How do you explain your role to someone at a barbecue?
Well, usually the first question they ask is, what is QMS? Right? I'm like, hey, what is that? I don't even know what that is. Or they kind of give me that glass eye look, oh, yeah. But what I always try to explain is just hey, implementation, I just make sure you understand the software. And I just make sure that you're confident in the software. And if you have both of those, you know it and you're confident with it, you're going to be successful with it every single time.
I look at it as so purchasing software is like purchasing a gym membership, right? You can make the purchase, but you have to show up. You have to put the time into it. And implementation is everything that happens after purchase to, successfully being able to use the software every day. And that's what I get great joy in, helping the people have those aha moments that allow them to build their confidence, like Ricky said, and find, all of the ways that they can successfully implement the software and find ways to make it more effective for their business processes.
Absolutely.
We're there to spark ideas. We're there to bring up, hey, does this process still marry up with the new system?
Mm-hmm.
Yes or no? And sometimes those are easy conversations. Sometimes those are hard conversations. But that's something that this team does an exceedingly good job at managing.
A customer just signed on with QT9. So what actually happens in that first week, and what should they expect from the implementation team?
Sure. So the first step in the process is customer receiving a welcome, right? And their credentials to get into the system. What we ask them to do then is to schedule the first call. That call is more of a get to know you, setting the milestones, setting the expectations. Here's what you can expect from our team. Here's some of the things that we would expect from you to get the application from A to Z.
Mm-hmm.
And then once those are set, the rest of the team kind of jumps in, right? We go to what's called a kickoff call, where we start to get into the application. The higher level administrators start to get into the application. We kind of show them around, how to organize their data, how to extract the data, where the general settings are for the different modules. And then from there, really begin to get into the educational portion of the application, learning about the different modules that they consider priorities to get up and running.
Mm-hmm. When customers come to QT9, what are they usually trying to get away from? Being spreadsheets, binders, applications, shared folders, or something else?
I've seen kind of the gambit in my time. You've got some people that are coming from a fully manual system, like they are binders or spreadsheets with shared drive with files and folders, and kind of the nightmare that is of maintaining, right? But you see people come from that. You see a lot of startups come in where they're planning on building their quality system around what we do here at QT9. So you get that, you get startups, you get people that are coming from mature quality systems, maybe from a different EQMS.
I've noticed where the big thing that a lot of customers would really want to get away is inconvenience. I'm tired of going to this folder. I'm tired of finding these documents. I'm tired of the sometimes misorganizations, or hey, I'm tired of findings, and that could be a little scary too. But either way, that's kind of like the big thing. And that's what's really cool about what we have here. We try to simplify it and put it in one spot so that when they go in, they know it's in a safe spot, secure spot. They grab it and go. It makes their daily life easier.
There's so many people that reach out because they're leaving the organization or someone else is taking on their role. And instead of trying to find out who used to be the owner of that binder or the owner of that process, now all of that is automated in our system. So it helps with handoffs and changes in terms of personnel and things like that as well.
Absolutely. That's big. People do leave. People do move to companies. It's the business world we live in today. All right. So the question that every prospect asks, how long does a QMS implementation usually take? And what makes one implementation move faster or slower than another?
So I always say, or we've always noticed that we found a lot of success, and we always try to aim for that 3 to 4 months routine, right? We want to try to get you in and out within 3 to 4 months, and not just in and out. You understand the product, you're confident with it, and you're able to use it right after.
I think a lot of it depends on the time that customers have available to dedicate to the project.
Okay.
Setting realistic goals. If you have personnel, if you have the resources to give to the project, implementation is going to go very smoothly. And having the data, all of your customers and your suppliers and your product information gathered, right? And you know where it is and it doesn't need to be cleaned up. Everything moves very, very quickly. But the planning on the customer side is very, very important.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Have you ever run into a situation where it's difficult to make the expectations realistic? They come in with unrealistic expectations and you've had to adjust?
I've seen it a lot over my years here. I think what some people think is that, and I think this is any system, people have the mentality of, well, I'm going to come into the system and I'm not going to change anything. I am not going to have to adapt to a new system. The system is going to mold to me, and that's not always the case. I mean, I think the statistic, or like what people always kind of talk about or joke about in the sales cycle, you're going to get about 85% of like your process into there, and the other 15-20% that flux is really going to be like you having to adapt. But the other thing is having that adaptable mindset, understanding that we're going to help you get to a more efficient place, and a place that's super compliant with ISO, but you have to have that trust that we've done it, we've been there, and they have to have that adaptability to say like, okay, I have to get out of this mental pathway and I have to kind of cut a new one. So the adaptability, preparation, and honestly, like clean data, if you can get those three things, that's like a unicorn implementation. Because at that point, those are the people that are going to be in and out in a month, because they know what to expect. They know like we're going to adapt, and they know like we're going to come prepared. If you get all three of those things, or if you use an organization of those three things, we'll have you in and out before you can blink.
Basically, I'm hearing you guys can move as fast as a customer wants to within
100%.
realistic. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
That bar, we love matching it, if
Yeah.
not exceeding it. Like that's we're all about that. We want that because we want you to win. You know, but I'm excited for the software. I hope you're excited. Like, get in there, make your life easier. Let's do that.
And like Phil mentioned a little bit ago, he talked about the pre-implementation call, the kickoff call. We provide them with so many resources. So we're resources as well, but our implementation plan that we provide to our customers has so many resources. So if they were self-directed in their learning style, they can go there and they can learn as much as they want about all of the different modules that we have, and then use us as resources to help along the way. So you are exactly right, Christian. Like it moves as fast as they move, and we're flexible enough to move with them as well.
Yep. That's awesome. That's great. What did those companies have in common? And this might be rehashing, but
I mean, from my, like, to me, like the ultimate like unicorn customers, they're the ones that come in and they know already, like, here's where they have a mental idea of where they want to be. They know what their priority modules are from the get-go. Not just the ones we recommend. They know what they need from a business case. They have a group mentality where they are ready to go as a team. They're adaptable and they're prepared. If they have those traits, they will have a successful implementation with what we provide.
There's always something I always say. They all make fun of me, but I always do this, like small victories, right? And that's what I always aim for. And realistic goals, has everyone said that, you know, that is the key for me, where it's just like, hey, you may not know this stuff. Cool. Let's go on this journey together. What can you do on our next appointment? Is that going to be next week? Is it going to be 2 weeks? Is that going to be 3 weeks? I'm here to support you any single way. And if it's going to be any longer than that, then what can I get with you within 1 or 2 weeks?
So James mentioned the unity in terms of having the personnel on board and having the buy-in in terms of this, you know, major change. And then Phil mentioned, you know, the organization and the preparation around getting the data together and in the system. And Ricky mentions relationship building. So all of those things have really aided in my smoothest implementations, because I get to know the customer. I get to know what it is that they're looking to solve by implementing the software. And then we work to figure out those solutions. And as long as they are continuing to meet with us with some type of frequency or regularity, everything flows very smoothly, because there's constant learning that's happening and there's constant sharing of knowledge that they then go and share with other members of their organization.
great answer, everyone. Real team effort on that one. So here's the honest one. What is the most common way you see a customer accidentally slow down their own implementation? And accordingly, how do you help get them back on track?
I think for me is that, self-drive, right? Like, it's really hard to sometimes we get customers who just completely disappear, you know? And we're trying to do whatever we can to reach out, get them back on track, whatever. But something either happens, and like I said before, life happens, right? But just know that we're always here to support that. But sometimes that may overwhelm it, and things may happen where they put other projects or other things focusing on their daily life or on their work over the QMS implementation.
One of the biggest things that will block people is if they're like, okay, well, we have to have the documents perfect before they come in, or they're at that almost like a decision lock where they can't get past it. Well, Do I make sure the documents are perfect before they come in? Or do I bring in everything and then I start using the system right off the bat? I would err on the side of being a little bit more aggressive, where it's, hey, bring in everything. You may know, hey, we're going to use your CAPA process, but we still want to bring in our old document. That's great, because when you import it, you're going to review it. You're going to then obsolete it in the system. And then, so, hey, guess what? You're now using the system. And you're obsoleting. You now have history inside the system. You're starting to build that story right off, right from the beginning. So that quest for perfect slows things down.
For sure. For sure. Can you tell me about a time you helped a customer realize there was an easier way to do something in QT9 than the specific manual process that they were used to?
I had a good moment with a customer, and it was a long call, but it was so worth it at the very end. And it was basically a change control process that they had. We have to follow A, B, and C every single time. And before B happens, 1, 2, 3 needs to happen, and everything from there. And I remember just talking to the customer and saying, like, you are able to do that all in one spot. And finally, I went to the point where I was like, what is making you say no to this? Like, what is making you say, what is going on? Why such a difficult understanding of that, right? And the customer just kind of just looked at me, just like, it's just too easy. It's just too easy. You're telling me I don't need to do it. I'm like, yeah, like that's it, And I just remember I was just like looking, like there was this amazing silence, like just like it's all just he didn't have his camera on. I wish he did. But I just remember like I could
hear the
he's just like, Ricky, do you know how much easier this is going to be from now on? And I'm just like, that's why we're here.
Music to your ears.
It's just like
that happened because you were asking probing questions.
Yeah.
Very important during an implementation. Asking the questions, probing, wondering, okay, if you're doing this now, what do you anticipate doing at some point in the future? Asking questions is critical.
Yep. What would you have as one piece of advice for a company starting its QT9 journey next week? What would you tell them?
Book a call with Phil.
Immediately.
I would say just come in and be as organized as you possibly can. I mean, through the sales process, you know what you're getting into. And you've already had that great interaction with our sales team. Begin as soon as you can. Begin to gather that data, begin to organize, begin to determine, here are the roles within the implementation that we want the team to play. Phil, you're going to be responsible for gathering all the data, at least initially, right? And then, Steve or Tina, you're going to be the one who's managing the project internally, right? Being that main point of contact. So just kind of the organization piece before the implementation process even begins.
If you treat us like a partner, if you understand that we are here to support your success and all we want is that success and that return on that investment, if you can keep that in the forefront of your mind, and like I talked about earlier, be adaptable. If you can do those things, that's a superpower for being able to implement a piece of software. On other times, it's the adoption of that system. So you have to be willing to take that ownership up front, use the resources that are here, and realize that you're not just buying a platform, you're buying partners. And you have a whole army of partners behind you. Not just implementation, customer success, support. You've got an entire ecosystem of partners here at the company that wants nothing more than you to win. You will be successful if you approach it that way.
I would, to add on top of that, I would say the biggest thing I would advise is trust software, right? You got here for a reason. You chose the software for a reason. And I understand change is never easy. Everyone has to go through it. Everyone handles that way differently. But I can confidently say that you could trust the software. You may not trust me, that's fine, but just know that it'll help you. It's going to make your process easier. Just be ready to learn what that is.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you all for joining me today. We really appreciate you giving your perspective. And perhaps we'll have the rest of the implementation team on at some point.
Yeah.
But until then, again, thank you for your time. To our listeners, thanks for joining in.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye.